In this video, we're going to compare the Rode Procaster to the Shure SM7B. We're going to go through all the specs, we're going to do a whole bunch of practical tests, and then we're going to use our own report card to compare both of these microphones so you can figure out which one of these is best for you for spoken word, podcasting, live streaming, and vocal recording. First of all, in terms of microphone setup for this video, both of these microphones are connected to the Rodecaster Duo. There's no processing, effects, compression, EQ, de-essing, or anything like that. You're just listening to the raw, unedited audio from either one of these microphones. For the Rode Procaster here, it has 52 dB of gain from the Rodecaster Duo, and for the Shure SM7B, it's using 59 dB of gain from the Rodecaster Duo. Now we do have logos up in the top corner, so you do know what microphone you're listening to at any given time. Next, in terms of pricing, price does go up and down over time and depending on where you live in the world. We do have links down in the description below where you can find everything that you see in this video from a variety of online retailers to make sure that you are getting the best price possible. Next, let's go over overall build quality and first impressions here. For the Rode Procaster, it is an all-metal design. You can see that is not all black. I always prefer all black microphones when they're on camera, but it is still a good looking design. Towards the front of the microphone, you can see that this is an end address microphone. You speak in the end of it. There is this metal grill up here. Again, it's all metal and ruggedly built. Towards the rear of the microphone, you can find the XLR output. There is a screw-on ring here that holds the microphone mounting system. You can buy a variety of third-party and extra mounts for this microphone, but this is what comes stock with this microphone. In terms of setting it, it's pretty easy to mount and set the angle of this microphone. You can see that it has one of these kind of film locking microphone clips here where you can pull it out to ratchet it if you want. Really gives you a bit more control here. And then towards the end of the microphone, you do find the mount that goes to the microphone stand here. Next, for the Shure SM7B, you can see that it's an all black, all metal design. It does come with two different foam windscreens. We're showing you the more narrow and better looking foam windscreen for this video. You can pull this off and you can see the metal grill that's protecting the capsule of the microphone. It's an end address microphone, just like the Procaster. Towards the rear of the microphone, you'll find two switches. One is for a low frequency roll-off, otherwise known as a high pass filter, and one is for a mid boost. For podcasting, live streaming, and vocal recording, I always leave these switches flat. It sounds way better that way, and that's how we're going to demonstrate it in this video. For mounting the microphone, you can see that it has the all metal yoke here. You can take this off to flip it or invert it however you need to. Towards the microphone mount, you can see that the XLR cable is run nice and discreetly up to the end where you mount this microphone. It does look a little bit better on camera this way. Sometimes it can be a little finicky to deal with, but it does look better and it works well. Then we have the microphone mount here, and it does need a thread adapter if you're using a boom arm like I'm using in this video. Next, let's go through the specs of either microphone again just to compare them. The Rode Procaster is an XLR dynamic microphone with a cardioid polar pattern. It's an end address microphone with a 75 kHz to 18 kHz frequency response, has a sensitivity of -56 dB, and it weighs 745 grams or 1.6 pounds. For the Shure SM7B, it's also an XLR dynamic microphone with a cardioid polar pattern. It's an end address microphone with a frequency response of 50 Hz to 20 kHz, has a sensitivity of -59 dB, max SPL of 180 dB, and it weighs 764 grams or 1.69 pounds. Next, let's take a look at the frequency response of either one of these microphones. This is a really helpful tool to again just figure out how these microphones act in a variety of circumstances. First of all, for the Rode Procaster here, you can see that there's a low frequency roll-off below 100 Hz. This is pretty typical here. Up from there, there is a pretty distinct bump at 150 Hz by about 2 dB or so to strengthen the bottom end. Here we do see a very subtle low-mid cut to clean up the low mids. It's pretty flat to about 1000 Hz or so, and from there it kind of ramps up about 5 dB as it heads towards 6 or 7000 Hz. From there it's pretty flat until it starts rolling off at 10,000 Hz or so. So the upper frequencies of this microphone are pushed by about 5 dB, so if you do like a brighter microphone, this might be a better choice for you. Next, for the Shure SM7B, we do see a pretty different frequency response graph here. We do see with the solid black line here, the solid black line indicates what the microphone is like with no switches enabled in their flat and neutral position. We see a similar low frequency roll-off as the Procaster here, but from there it's it stays below 0 dB, and there's a more distinctive cut centered on about 400 Hz. From there, it's flat from 1000 Hz to 4000 Hz, and then the upper frequencies are notched out pretty good here. We do see a couple frequencies specifically boosted, but up where the Procaster has boosted frequencies, the Shure SM7B has a lot of cuts in those upper air frequencies before rolling off at about 12,000 Hz or so. If we take a look at these dotted lines, you'll see why I don't favor the switches on the Shure SM7B. The low cut switch, if you have that enabled, has a really aggressive low frequency filter here from 350 Hz down. It really knocks out all the strength of your voice. We do have the mid boost switch here, and it does boost the upper mid frequencies. So if you do really need clarity, you can try that out. I do have other videos on it, but for the sake of keeping this one concise, we are going to ignore these switches for this video. Next, let's do some practical tests with these microphones. First, we're going to do a plosive test. I'm going to look directly into these microphones in a worst case scenario, make a bunch of P and B sounds, and figure out how these microphones react. Peter put peanut butter on his pineapple pizza. 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 Next, for a background noise test, this is what the Procaster sounds like with a keyboard and mouse going in the background. Next, for a background test, this is what the Shure SM7B sounds like with a keyboard and mouse going in the background. This is what the Procaster sounds like with rustling paper going in the background. This is what the Shure SM7B sounds like with rustling paper in the background. Next, in terms of off-axis noise rejection, we're going to move a white noise machine around either one of these microphones to see how they react. Next, this is what the Procaster sounds like if you move it up and down throughout your recording. Next, this is what the Shure SM7B sounds like if you move it up and down throughout your recording. This is what it sounds like if you tap or bump the Procaster. This is what it sounds like if you tap or bump the Shure SM7B. This is what the Rode Procaster sounds like with processing turned on the Rodecaster Duo. This is the default dynamic microphone setting, not the Procaster specific preset inside the Rodecaster Duo. This will give it some compression, EQ, de-essing to help you hear how this microphone can sound with some of those tools. This is what the Shure SM7B sounds like with exactly the same dynamic microphone preset on the Rodecaster Duo. This is not the specific SM7B preset on the Rodecaster Duo, it's the generic dynamic microphone one. It'll give it some compression, EQ, de-essing, and a couple of other tools to help you hear the potential of how this microphone can sound with processing turned on. Now the processing is turned off for both of these microphones again, so now we're going to do a blind test again to give you another opportunity to help you figure out which microphone you like the sound of best. No, it's not the computers. The computers were fine, and the answer to the ultimate question of life, the universe, and everything is indeed 42. The problem is that nobody knew what the question was. No, it's not the computers. The computers were fine, and the answer to the ultimate question of life, the universe, and everything is indeed 42. The problem is that nobody knew what the question was. Alright, I just finished editing the first half of this video, so now let's compare them and go through our report card together. First of all, in terms of build quality on either one of these microphones, I don't see any issue whatsoever. I wish that the Procaster was all black, but aside from that, you really just have some subtle differences. The SM7B has the cable management up through the top, and the Procaster has the XLR cable that just comes out the back. Other than that, they're both very comparable. I think both of them have great build quality, longevity, and they're both made by companies that have a good reputation for taking care of their customers. Next, in terms of plosives, I say that the Procaster does need help. Now, needs help isn't a deal breaker for this microphone. It just means that you need some type of pop filter or windscreen for this microphone. You don't get anything like that within the box, but you can go out and buy a third-party one. Rode makes an official one for the Procaster as well. I'll put a link down in the description below. I would not use this microphone without any type of foam windscreen on it. I think you'll get better, more reliable results with a wider range of people. If people aren't trained and they're using this microphone for a podcast or a live stream, they look right into it, those P&B sounds will come through. For the Shure SM7B, I say it has excellent plosive rejection because there are no issues with this whatsoever. You can look directly into the microphone, make a bunch of P&B sounds, and it won't ruin or distract from your recording. Next, we have background noise rejection of the microphones. I gave them both an excellent mark. You can hear just slightly more noise coming through the Procaster than the Shure SM7B when we were doing the typing test and the paper test. Some of that has to do with the frequency response of those upper frequencies with the clicking of the keyboard and the paper itself. But when we do the white noise test moving around the microphone, I think both of them are definitely inside that excellent category, even though the Shure SM7B does outperform the Procaster by just a little bit here. Next, in terms of handling noise, I gave them both a fair rating, but this one isn't quite as straightforward. When we move the Procaster up and down, it does create more internal handling noise than the Shure SM7B. That being said, when we did the tap test, I think the Procaster outperformed the Shure SM7B, and those taps were more muted when we're tapping in and around the microphone. So I think both of these are fair. Obviously, if you're tapping and banging around the microphones, that's going to come in. That's a microphone's job, is to pick up noise. But overall, I'd say that they're both fair. They're not excellent. They didn't blow my mind here, but they are good, and you can count on them to reject that handling noise in your recording. Next, in terms of frequency response and how these microphones actually sound, I actually love the sound of both microphones differently for different reasons. I didn't see that any microphone had a weak point per se, but you can hear the differences when we go back and forth. When we switch from the Shure SM7B into the Procaster, you notice that the Procaster is quite a bit brighter in those upper frequencies. You notice that it has that 150 hertz bump. If you're ever wondering when people talk about a V-shaped microphone curve, the Procaster pretty much sums it up. It's about as V-shaped as you'll get with a dynamic microphone. It has a bump at 150 hertz, and it has a bump up in the 10,000 hertz region or so. For the Procaster, it's not too crazy. It's about 5 dB with that bump in the upper frequencies. To me, compared to the Shure SM7B, that makes the Procaster sound just a little bit more lively, a little bit more natural, a little bit as if you're in the room with the person recording. Now, this does have some caveats. When you boost these upper frequencies, you will hear a little bit more mouth noise. And if you're not in a treated room, you will hear a little bit more room tone, more reflections off the table, more reflections off the wall. But for me in this video, I do have some sound treatment in here. I haven't gone totally crazy. I tried to keep it kind of neutral as to what most people would get in their home studios. To me, I actually like the sound of the Procaster compared to the Shure SM7B. That being said, when we compare the Procaster to the Shure SM7B, when we switch from the Procaster to the Shure SM7B, the Shure SM7B just sounds flat, dry, reliable. It sounds like, I always call it like a blank slate microphone for podcasting and live streaming. You can, of course, EQ either one of these microphones, but the Shure SM7B just gives such a reliable platform for that. That being said, compared to the Procaster, it does sound just a little bit dark, a little bit muffled. But that being said, for a podcast or a live stream, you will get less room noise. You'll get less mouth noise. You'll get less distracting clicks. So that really is the trade-off when we're comparing both of these microphones. Do you want a microphone that sounds, in my opinion, a little bit more open, a little bit more natural, or do you want one just a little bit more flat and a little bit more dry? That's really the comparison when we're comparing the Procaster to the SM7B. Next is compare the price and the value of either one of these microphones. Now in the report card here, I say that the Procaster has an excellent value and the SM7B is a fair value. That's because where I live, the Procaster is about half the price of the Shure SM7B. Now again, if you look at the report card, I do recommend that you go out and get some type of plosive protection for the Procaster, but that's not a deal breaker for the microphone. A cheap foam windscreen on this and you'll get up and running, and you'll get way better bang for your buck, in my opinion, than the Shure SM7B. That being said, the Shure SM7B, as you can see here, does outscore the Procaster, and it is more expensive, but it's still a good value. The microphone, in my opinion, is probably priced $50 too high. If it came down, then it would be an excellent value in my opinion. But aside from that, I think both of these microphones do offer fair value. The Procaster is just a little bit better. Okay, with all that being said, what's my actual recommendation here? Which one of these microphones would I recommend for you if you're deciding between these two microphones? If it was me and my money and I'm buying my first microphone, I don't have any microphone right now, I would recommend getting the Procaster. To me, you're getting better bang for your buck. It still looks good on camera, still easy to use. You need slightly less gain from your audio interface, which solves a lot of problems for a lot of people. You do have to go out and get a foam windscreen for it, but realistically, we're talking here that you can get almost two of these for one Shure SM7B. To me, it sounds a little bit more bright and a little bit more open compared to the Shure SM7B, so I like that. That's my personal preference as well. That being said, I do want to just say that the Shure SM7B is still a classic. It's just when we compare these, the price and the value of the Procaster here is pretty tough to beat. So that's my recommendation when we compare both of these. The Procaster I think is better value. It's a little bit brighter, a little bit more natural sounding, and I think it's a better buy than the Shure SM7B in terms of value. If you have any questions or comments, please leave a comment down in the comment section below. Again, if you are looking for pricing or specs, we have links down in the description below. And if you want to see more videos like this in the future, please like and subscribe. Thank you for watching.